So welcome again to our Wednesday informal, entertaining, hopefully entertaining catch-up sessions around all things Microsoft from Data, the on-point sessions. So today a little bit different. We're going to rip through some news and Surface. Then I'm going to throw across to Joel and team around Power Platform and Business Central opportunities. Finish off with prizes and Q&A. So without further ado, hot off the press, we're going to do a promo around the Microsoft Defender for Business standalone. So this is really for partners that are still doing business standard, or maybe doing somebody else's productivity suite, and we know who you are. So we're going to hunt you down. But if you'd rather not us hunt you down, click on that sign up link and we'll give you all the details on what we're going to be doing. But basically, first 20 partners, we're going to return what you're paying for that first month of Defender for Business standalone. If you're on Business Premium, this doesn't really apply to you, but it is a great leverage with the customer to show them the value of going beyond the standard sort of endpoint. And I'm getting a lot of customers that have lost faith in their bolt-on AV and are looking at Defender for Business as part of the Business Premium option. If you're just doing it as a standalone, it's a great launching pad to upgrade those customers, show them value and how they can lower their total cost of ownership by going to Business Premium. But it is the standalone offer that we're promoting here. And Zach, did you clarify?
Oh yeah, didn't get a chance.
Okay. I know on NCE it sort of promised that we could upgrade licenses. So if you started them off on standard with the Defender for Business standalone, there is possibility that you can upgrade them and use that as a path to get them to Business Premium, which is what we want you to do. We're also going to do some partner enablement on the technical side next week, and to sign up for that, also click on that link. Speaking of which, if you haven't been to the Partner Hub yet, this is a good one-place shop for all things Microsoft. I know we're inundated with communications, but a centralized hub. Once again, there's a PowerPoint live, so click on it, log it, and I'll put the deck into the shared folder at the end. Coming up, Microsoft's security community, and this just popped into my inbox probably about half an hour ago. Defender for Business webinar series technical training. It is unfortunately 3 o'clock in the morning, so if you can't join me at 3 o'clock in the morning, register for it and the recordings will be available at some future date. Who's that laughing?
Yeah. It was Carol. She's been muted.
It's Carol. Okay. Privacy Week wrapped up last week, and you probably would have seen across all the social media. They're doing a big push on, that's Cert NZ, who's our next week's guest. But Privacy Week, all their webinars are available as recordings on there. So if you want to jump into those, click there and visit their site. We'll have them coming up on a future date. Okay, we also had the Innovation Awards. Went along, so big shout out to my old colleagues Chad Kelly at Veeam for winning his award, and John Gregson at Palo Alto, and also the Microsoft team, Microsoft New Zealand, for winning. Unfortunately, Data didn't take home anything except for COVID. So Rhonda is not with us. Well, she's still alive. Is not with us and able to present, so I'm going to do the Surface piece. So the promos, we've still got the scooter giveaway for the Surface Pro 7, and there's plenty of those. Huge uptake from you guys, so thanks for that, for getting in and realizing the benefits of selling some Surface. The Studio, which is a really cool device and a cool bundle there, where you're getting $500 worth of extras for basically no price. So really nice, easy sell to your customer. The other promos, sorry for the scribbles on there, but the Surface headphones, that's all gone. Got limited stock of the privacy screen, and evidently we've only got 2 of these double passes. So if you want to grab free tickets to Top Gun, which are getting rave reviews. Get on to Mike and Rhonda via email. I think she's still doing her email to register for it. If you haven't registered to sell Surface yet, click on the link there, the spotlight on Surface, and that will take you through everything you need to know. Okay, now just about to throw across to Joel and team, so I'll let Joel do the intros. But what we're seeing is a big crossover around Dynamics, which used to be a specialist partner thing, into the Microsoft 365 world. So Dynamics partners are now selling M365, and M365 partners are now looking at Power Platform in particular, and Business Central, seeing a lot of opportunities come from other providers, particularly around finance, not to call that MYOB, but a lot of partners are now talking to us and saying, hey, look, we want to move across the Dynamics world. We realize it's a huge opportunity. How do we go about it? And there's plenty of opportunity to upskill there, partner with a Dynamics specialist as a starting point if you don't have those resources. And I know resources are hard to get, so look at doing certifications. Big sing out to Arno, who's on the call today, who's just passed his Power Platform fundamentals. So upskill around it, start introducing it into it. Power Platform in particular, a great way of building apps, custom bespoke apps for your frontline customers that are going into grocery stores, hardware stores, all those sort of things. So without further ado, I shall fire across to you, Joel, if you want to take control. And
you can't hear me.
Yeah.
Mute's on. Great way. That's how you start a Teams call. Hey, my name's Joel. I am the channel sales manager for Dynamics 365 here in New Zealand. So I work really closely with the Dicker team in this business. We are really lucky enough to have Eugene Lee with us, who is the product lead for Business Central for Australia and New Zealand, and he's going to present on the Business Central opportunity before I dive into Power Platform later. So Eugene, I don't know if you want to chuck your camera on. I've just been messaging Eugene in the background. The poor bugger's got COVID. So how dedicated is this man to the cause? He's also in Australia, so a couple of hours behind us too. So he's got up early with COVID to do this for us. So thanks, mate. I'm going to pass over to you now. Really appreciate it.
Not a problem. Thanks, Joel. And if you want to move ahead, I'll just let you know when to skip ahead for the slides. But if we can just move forward one.
Zach, we're not here, presenters in the deck here by the looks of it. So you might need to control the slides for us.
Yeah, if you can just build out the entire slide.
Can you drive?
I've got it, bud.
Okay, perfect. So in terms of Business Central, what is BC? And I think a few of you may have started to hear about it. It is definitely a growing product, but for us, it is our core financial management and business management solution that we have across the D365 stack that's built specifically for SMBs. And it is the growth that we've seen in the product, it has come in a very opportune time. As you can see here, if we look at where we are seeing that climate and the global market shifts occurring, we are seeing absolutely the fact that financial management and services associated within that it is one of the most critical business processes that is going through a modernization stage. You've got some stats here. I won't go through all of them because I know hopefully you get the deck after this, but ultimately for us, when we are looking at, and we did as Microsoft do a piece of research end of last calendar year with SMB customers to understand where post-COVID are your investments looking to go, and what do you see as the core drivers for your ongoing business transformation and ultimately business success? Unsurprisingly, number one was security, but what you would then find under number two and number three is actually ERP SaaS, which is ultimately what Business Central is, and CRM. So if we are looking at the core fundamental drivers of business transformation in the modern age, it is moving more towards how can we start to transform our business processes, because underlying every single organization is a stack of process. How do we start to transform this with modern cloud SaaS management solutions that enable us to do it all in one and get that single point of visibility? And for us with BC, that is our core hero product and core hero offering that ultimately we are driving towards and that we are seeing exponential growth, not only competing against the likes of NetSuite and Sage, but ultimately now we are winning across every single day MYOB customers and Xero customers who have simply outgrown their core platforms on those two vendors and are now looking for that mid-sized ERP solution that Business Central is, that ultimately we see customers adopting, not just from the SMB land of 5 seats, 10 seats, organizations that have 20 employees, but we're seeing organizations all the way up to your enterprise customers starting to adopt Business Central as they take on board a 2-tier ERP system, which ultimately just means their headquarters using one specific solution. So for all intents and purposes, you may see a headquarters for one of our enterprise organizations using finance and operations, which is our flagship ERP solution. But they are using now Business Central to then power their subsidiaries or power their franchisees as well. So that is something that we are seeing as well in that shift. If we jump ahead a slide. And as I was saying, what is BC? And ultimately BC for us is the all-encompassing business management solution. So you can see here mapped out across 6 key areas of what the product covers. We cover everything from financial management, which if I put it in context to our competitors, that is ultimately what MYOB and Xero do. And that is all they do under their basic SKUs. We then also include project management. We include ops management. We also include supply chain management, and we also include a very basic level of sales and service management. So ultimately from the sales and service component, is it sufficient enough for an organization to run as their core CRM platform? Probably not. It is a sales service management capabilities that ultimately enable you to manage and procure and drive the invoicing and the contact management piece. So it's not necessarily your CRM that is built to really drive sales and opportunity management. And in terms of the connection to third-party applications for us, whilst it is a global solution, we do have very much the localized spin on it. Some of you may have heard of Wise, which is one of our Business Central ISV partners. They've gone about and built on top of BC a load of capability, including Australian payroll that's built in natively. They've then got a native built-in warehouse management solution, etc. And that's just one way in which our partner ecosystem is expanding. The other is obviously through Appsource. And for us, BC, and I'll touch on this in a bit, but BC has over 2,000 apps now on Appsource for every single industry, for every single organization. And again, everything you see here, this is just a very high level view of all the core capabilities. If we actually did an end-to-end deep dive into this, it would take me more than 20 minutes to go through each, even if I just did one sentence overviews. So it is very comprehensive in its capabilities. If we jump ahead a slide. And this is exactly what I was talking about earlier. So as we look at BC, we understand that Business Central, it is a global solution. And because it is a global solution, our global engineering team will never completely localize the solution to Australian standards or to Australian requirements. And that is really where the Appsource and the partner IP has come into play. And with a lot of these 2,000 apps that we have on Appsource, quite a few of them actually are from Australian partners that have built Australian capabilities that we all know we need. So if I go back to when BC was first launched, which would have been about 3.5 years ago, back then we had no bank feeds. There was nothing that we could deliver in the solution that was bank feeds orientated, which in Australia especially, and I imagine with New Zealand as well, it is especially critical because ultimately bank feeds enables our customers to automatically sync their account ledgers, their payrolls, and sync their bank transactions directly to their banking provider, which enables them to seamlessly automate that. And we didn't have that. That was a big gap, but ultimately for us, we immediately filled that gap with Wise coming into the market with bank feeds. But now we also have other partners coming to the table with bank feeds. So it is effectively driving that competitive nature, but also driving a positive competitiveness, which is innovating the way that we go to market. And if we look at this slide here, it covers off what we see in terms of the general business practice growth. And ultimately for us, if we look at how the broader ERP SaaS market is moving and the broader CRM SaaS market, the typical market growth that we're seeing now is about 17%, if not a point higher now as of last year, I think, as of COVID. But for us from a D365 point of view, you can see we are as a business growing at 47%. And that is just an all-up business number. That includes our enterprise customers, that includes our corporate customers. And if we look at this in terms of the opportunity size here, this is where we are seeing that partner opportunity in terms of Business Central. So from 2020, we expected about a $23 million cloud market op across ANZ. Now we're expecting a $34 million cloud market op across ANZ for 2023. And if we then look at what that means for us typically for BC, we typically do a conservative 3-to-1 service revenue to license ratio. So typically, if you then take that 34 mil from a service opportunity, you're looking at about $102 million worth of service ops opportunity that sits within Business Central. And the one thing that I will say is what the positive note that we do have for BC and for D365 as a whole is D365 as a solution is what is the super glue that we have across Microsoft. If there's ever a product or a platform that enables you to, in a positive note, lock in the customer to Microsoft and embed them into our core cloud solutions, it is D365. Because with D365, you are fundamentally transforming the business process, which means the organization is fundamentally transforming how they do business and aligning that to us and aligning that to our SaaS platform. And this is just a quick snapshot of ANZ growth. Incredible growth for us. Business Central is effectively our fastest growing product outside of Power Apps. For us, from a CAGR point of view, since 2019, we've grown at 137% year on year in revenue. So we've more than doubled the business every single year. If we look at the customer growth, we've grown 43% in the past year in itself. And since 2019, again, we're doubling our customers on an average basis. And if we then look at how we are seeing our partner ecosystem grow exponentially, we're seeing our partner ecosystem grow at 83% on a CAGR basis. So again, almost doubling the amount of partners we have every single year. And if we're looking at where that customer profile sits, you can see on the bottom right there, it's not all SMB. We do have quite a significant share in SMB corporate where we are seeing customers starting to adopt, and same with enterprise where, again, like I mentioned earlier, that 2T ERP is coming through end to end. If we just go forward a slide. And if we then look at where we're seeing the behavior and where we're seeing the sentiment shift, we are seeing BC as the core product that is the first ad that a partner lands within a customer. Once we see BC landed, we then see an exponential increase in the propensity for the customer to then adopt our broader solution. So think of our customer service solution, think of our sales solution. This here, it's a ballpark number of what we're seeing in ANZ. Once we see customers start to adopt that BC, then attaching the second, the third, and finally the fourth workloads. And you can see there the exponential increase, not just in licensing revenue, but ultimately, if you infer that from a service revenue, it is a significant uplift that we are seeing as well. Just jump forward a slide. And in terms of customer success, what customers are we seeing using BC? So this here is just a snapshot of ANZ, and these are all of our published customer stories. There is a lot more, but these are some of the logos that we've got. We've got RSPCA, who's currently using Business Central to power their New South Wales and in the future their global practice and their global organisation in terms of Australia. We've got Water New South Wales delivering Business Central to power their core ERP. We've got Flexi Group, which I believe may be NZ, who is using D365 with Office with Azure. So again, that single cloud platform transformation is coming through day in, day out. If we jump forward a slide. And then this is kind of how we see the transformational journey of a partner. And obviously if you do decide to build that BC practice, this is highlighting what is that next leap that you can take? What is that journey that you can ultimately go on? And what is that then opportunity from a annual revenue, including services, including licenses that you could as a partner realize? So if we just look at BC, typically we're seeing about $95,000 as an average deal size, including service and revenue, license revenue. Once we then jump up to including Power Apps and Power Automate, when you're now looking to optimize and automate how that organization then goes about their core process, once BC is in, you're looking at about $155,000 on average. And then once you start to then further expand that to start to include sales and customer service, core solutions which extend beyond BC where there is natural integration and really transforming into the CRM space, that's where you are seeing that opportunities increase significantly to $285,000 annually. And if we jump ahead one more slide, this slide here in the next one, you'll see this one just touches on what that looks like. You lead with BC, you then build onto Power Apps, Power Automate, and then you start to expand onto D365 Sales and Service. And on the right there, I won't bore you with the text, but it is a quick overview as to why build the practice in the first place for BC. Why is it important then to add depth, which is through Power Apps, Power Automate, and then why is it important to add breadth through the broader D365 stack as well. And I will end here. If you are interested to build out a BC practice, please again reach out to your team at Dicker. They are incredible. We have across ANZ a significant strong share within BC coming from the Dicker data channel. And ultimately, if I look at what I know Dicker AU is working on, and I think that's something that will be coming to NZ, there is a very strong peer-to-peer motion being managed by one of our ambassadors, Arsenio. So again, from a peer-to-peer model for BC, we absolutely can service that partner-to-partner model, whereby we can bring in Business Central partners to support a modern work partner who doesn't yet have the capability to implement. There is then the profit sharing and the margin sharing, whilst we then enable you as a modern work partner to then expand your capabilities and grow and eventually build into a BC practice as well.
Thanks, Eugene. That was brilliant. And I appreciate you did it without notes too. So you've either done it a few times or really passionate about your product. And as Eugene was saying, think of all the customers out there that are using SAP solutions. And SAP was built for large organizations. And SAP is a product that basically makes you work the way that SAP wants you to work. It doesn't work the way that you want to work. And that's the cool thing around the Dynamics and Business Central offering. So with that, Joel, you should have presentation rights now. So if you want to grab control.
I will give it a go. Hey,
Welcome.
look at that.
All right, I'll mute out. It's all yours.
Thanks, mate. All right, so I'm going to flick through some slides. Hey, everybody. So, yeah, that was awesome. Thanks, Eugene. I think Eugene might stay on the call for the next kind of 8 minutes. If you've got questions or anything, just throw them in the chat. Otherwise, we are obviously contactable through Dicker in the future. Now, we don't have a lot of time left, so I'm going to fire through, talk a bit about the Power Platform opportunity. So I think something that we do know is that companies are moving to the cloud rapidly, and even small businesses are taking part in this digital transformation. And many of these small businesses have really traditionally relied on manual methods, outdated methods, and they're now kind of struggling to keep up with the changes that are happening and the demands that customers have on them in terms of that modern kind of commerce experience. And what we're going to see over the next sort of 5 years or so is more than 500 million new apps built and deployed. And, that demand for business apps is greater than ever. In fact, it's 5 times faster than IT departments can deliver. So it shows you the demand versus the sort of capacity in the channel. And so, obviously, if you look at that final stat there, it's no wonder that most organizations are struggling to find that technical talent to help build apps. And it kind of begs the question, how do we scale, code first development to meet this sort of growing demand? And the answer is probably can't. So, I think what we're seeing now is that there's 20 million monthly active users on Power Platform, and that's 76% year-on-year growth globally. It's huge. And from a Power Apps users perspective, we're at 10 million globally. Satya Nadella has recently called out in our earnings report that we are, basically the undisputed leader in low-code and no-code tools. And really, really strong in those Gartner kind of magic quadrants across RPA and low code and business intelligence. Oh, whoops, I'm on slides. Sorry. Yeah, much like the Business Central scenario, there are a bunch of customers that are leveraging this technology across Australia and New Zealand. I think what we're seeing in terms of the common reasons they're finding success is because they're committing to low code as part of their app strategy. They're they're quickly identifying what those use cases could be that are going to drive value to them, and quick time to value. And they're able to prove that business case and return on investment quite quickly. But what they're also doing is leveraging our partner ecosystem to build this kind of hybrid model where they're doing, some of it themselves, the light kind of really simple basic app development themselves, and then also leveraging specialized partners in that area to, help them accelerate their learning, and also think about how they can get that support for more sophisticated builds or more complex builds. And they're spending time upskilling their team. So those are some really interesting insights into, why customers are, gaining traction quickly. Telstra, for example, they've actually built more than 77 apps. Everything from, automating customer service tasks from creation to resolution to simplifying, that overtime reporting scenario. And they've consolidated all of their apps into a one-stop shop within Teams that they've called Technician Plus. So they're really leading right into this technology. I mentioned it before, across the low-code app platform, analytics, and the RPA stuff, we are the only vendor in a position in every Magic Quadrant. So really performing well. I guess this slide is going to build out if I click it again. Here it comes. Look at that. Nice. Especially in that RPA space, we've only recently really entered that market and quickly shot into that kind of visionaries quadrant. So what the Power Platform is it's a kind of a unified platform of low-code tools. It spans across, Office 365, Azure, and Dynamics 365, also standalone apps, and it helps you. It's they're designed to kind of help analyze that data, build solutions, automate processes, and create virtual agents to help your customers transform. It's a rapid app development platform, and it helps developers that have got that limited coding ability to innovate and build new solutions a lot faster, but it's in that familiar environment that feels a lot like PowerPoint and Excel. So it's a really good experience for low-code developers. I guess the key here, though, is that beyond use by those citizen developers, those low-code first or no-code first, Power Platform, it's also a rapid app development framework for professional developers that it integrates into those capabilities of low-code tools and pre-built components across Azure and the other development environments that professional developers are used to as well. So it's really quite a transformative solution that's going to bring together all kind of developers, whether they are thinking about no-code or low-code first, or even the code-first developers. So a great collaboration tool in that sense. I guess what we want to, be aware of, though, is that some processes are still going to be solved by the off-the-shelf SaaS solutions. However, there isn't always an app for that. And yes, some processes are going to be best solved by, traditional custom app development. But there is only so much traditional custom app development that an organisation can invest in, and so much bandwidth that an organisation really has. And that's where the Power Platform comes in and is really powerful. The opportunity for partners is really across three areas, and this is where you should listen. So, by 2025, 70% of new enterprise apps will be delivered and created using low-code technology. And that's going to really disrupt today's long tail of business app development. Customers are going to replace 23% of apps with low code. I think what customers are looking for is help in how they're going to set up the foundations and guardrails when it comes to security, when it comes to governance. And there's this huge kind of unmet demand for skilling as well, in both low-code developers and pro-code as well. And the last thing that the opportunity for partners is, building your own IP, building your own SaaS solution that can scale out to multiple customers and create that sticky kind of repeatable revenue stream. I think the main point for this slide here is, no matter where you are currently, where you currently anchor your Microsoft practice, whether it's Azure or Dynamics 365 or Microsoft 365, there's an opportunity for you to expand into low code. And that's with services that are going to increase your value to customers and grow your share of the customer spend. Across those 3 areas of opportunity called out in the previous slide, this slide really illustrates some of the examples that can get, you're kind of thinking about your own practice and where you could focus and build on top of what you're currently good at. We've got a lot of words on all of these slides, and I apologise, but there's a couple of things to call out in this slide here is that there is a massive opportunity for partners, to both, build complex, sophisticated apps using Power Apps that customers are unlikely to build themselves. But there's also the opportunity to support the customer in the kind of basic functionality builds as well. So that hybrid piece that we talked about earlier that some customers were taking advantage of. The other thing that I want to repeat is that you don't have to be in Dynamics 365 to leverage Power Apps and the opportunity in the market. In fact, as previously mentioned, you can expand your existing practice from Dynamics, Azure, or Microsoft 365 into that Power Apps functionality. I believe you can click these links. So these are some links here to help you on your learning journey. So are you guys going to share this deck afterwards?
Yeah, I'll put it into the shared folder, but you can click on those links. So just hover over it. It should turn to a hand, click it, and bookmark it, so you're paying attention. Guys,
nice.
We're going to go a little bit over time, so apologies for that, but we will still do the prize draw. If you've got to jump off, and see a couple of people have jumped off, if you're one of the winners, I will email you. Otherwise, the deck will be available in the chat and the recording. Back to you, Joel.
Great. Yeah, look, this can be my last slide anyway. I think that what's cool is we've got Westpac New Zealand tomorrow at 2 p.m. You can register at aka.ms/ANZ Power Hour. That is a monthly Power Hour focused on Power Platform, and it's nice to see a New Zealand customer there. So if you want to dive into that tomorrow, go for it. But that's my last slide. Thanks very much, and sorry for keeping you a little bit late.
Hey, no apologies needed, mate. If you're a little bit sort of like scared of diving into this, don't be. Power Apps is not an area that I thought I'd sort of like dive into around security, but Power Apps is easy. If you can follow a wizard and you can sort of like follow logical steps and decision trees, you can build a Power App. I guess what it's all about is democratizing AI or the cloud to all our users, and that's where you fit in as an IT partner, having the ability to do all these sort of things and jump on, do those certifications. If you attend these events, I'm guessing, Joel, that exam vouchers are go with these. The link to the calendar there will take you to the registration.
Yeah, you probably get your details in there. That's my understanding. But if reach out to me if you've got those questions, and I'm quite happy to answer them directly.
Yeah, because the more we upskill you as partners, the more opportunity you've got to sell this in there, and start taking advantage of some of this AI stuff, and dabbling it on for some demos for other partners. It is really quite simple, and doing some cool things like automating invoicing, receipt, and checking and verification. Brilliant stuff. Anyway, upcoming. So Sam from Certainty will be joining us next week, and I've seen his deck. Some really cool stuff in there on how we can integrate with it, and some of the steps that he's recommending that partners take. Obviously, he's not aligned with Microsoft or Data, so it's an impartial view, and it's great to sort of like see that a lot of that lines up with our Zero Trust framework. And you can see the rest there, flicking through. Okay, prize draws next week, certain dead. And now for the prize draws, and rather than Josh saying do a drum roll. Ziggy wasn't available or his rate was too high. Congratulations to two of my favourites, Lauren Nobbs and Jane O'Neill. So nice to have you on the call. And if you can click on the on point there and just send us an email with delivery address, and we'll get the apron and coffee mug out to you. Looking at having some different prizes for the next one. So stay tuned for that and make sure you join us for CERT. I shall now stop the recording. So if you have any questions,